Everything happened exactly like I had envisioned it. Hi! To all our new subscribers, welcome to the Elevated You, and to our returning subscribers, welcome back. Our channel is focusing on helping you elevate your life spiritually, physically, and mentally so that you can become the best version of yourself and be unapologetic about pursuing your dreams and purpose in this life. Let me take you back to the time when I was about 15 years old. I was a pretty focused girl who knew exactly what she wanted, and I think I was doing everything right to get there. There is this one time that I came across a brochure for a university and it caught my attention. I was in my junior year of high school and I got engulfed into the possibilities of attending university at this institution. For some reason, I was no longer interested in any other institution aside from this one. On the front of the brochure were students walking with their backpacks along the walkway, and that was the image that was consistently painted in my mind. It was like everything else came secondary to these visuals in my mind. So after I graduated from high school, I stayed home for about a few months. There is this one habit that I practiced that I will never forget. I would occasionally read a book and not have much else to do after that. That was pre-social media and smartphone era. Not too long ago though. Every day after lunch around 1 or 2 p.m., I found myself laying on the couch and imagining how my life would be at this institution. I did this consistently for a month or so every single day. At this time, I never knew what visualization was, but I never had any other distractions, so it seemed like the only thing I had was to focus on what my immediate future would look like. I personally would say that this was a gift from God because it's something I had never heard about from anyone. I would like to note that even though I visualized my dream higher learning prospect, it seemed impossible because I never had any connections and would never have been able to afford to pay tuition at this institution. 2 months in, things happened, and the next thing I knew, I was working towards applying to a similar institution. Fast forward to 1.5 years later, I was on my way to this institution. Everything happened exactly how I had always envisioned it in my mind, except for the exact institution. I always imagined being connected to a specific contact, and that is the same contact that helped me work towards achieving my higher education pursuit. As I was going through the process of application, I kept asking myself, what would one call a situation where one thinks about something and it happens exactly like they had thought about it? It sounded like a very strange phenomenon to me at the time. The second instance was with my first job out of college. I went to a small college, so naturally, big national employers wouldn't set camp at my school to look for talent. I had identified 4 companies that I wanted to work for once I graduated. I called 2 of the companies and got a hold of the front desk admin from one of the firms, who actually gave me the email address of the recruiter, and that got me really excited. That also was an instance of God at work. I emailed the recruiter twice and never heard back in a year. Then I emailed again because I never give up. This was the summer before my senior year. She finally responded and let me know that they interview small colleges at a specific location and that I had to go there. It seemed to me like the competition would be very stiff and that I had to be well prepared. I will talk more about how visualization truly works later in the video. In the meantime, as I was preparing for the interview, I kept visualizing myself walking along the hallways of an imaginary office, all dressed up and doing great work. That was constantly the thought that was on my mind during this period of preparing for the interview. Long story short is that I got the job. That was a first for them to hire from my small school. I had a job 1 year before I graduated, and I couldn't have been more thankful to God. Still, at this time, I didn't know what visualization was, but I found myself applying the same concept from before. The third instance is an interesting one since this was not an active visualization. In the summer after I had graduated, I was an intern at a company, and right beside it was this new high-rise apartment in the downtown area. I kept imagining to myself, I wonder what living in those apartments look like because the walls are all glass. One time, I looked them up online just to see how they look like, and they were absolutely beautiful. 2 years later, I would drive by and see these apartments and imagine what living in them would look like. Since I had a visual of how the inside of these apartments looked like, anytime I would drive by, I would imagine myself walking inside of them. The interesting thing is that my thoughts about these apartments were only limited to when I drive by, and so this was not an active visualization process at all. Fast forward to 2 years later, I had transitioned into a new job and decided to look for an apartment closer to work. I looked around on the internet and my heart kept coming back to this apartment. I called the leasing office and made an appointment for them to show me around. In the back of my mind, I knew that I just wanted to see this apartment and that I wouldn't be able to afford staying there. I came and saw the place and fell in love. I went back home and did my calculation and realized that I was able to afford the place. It's been almost 2 years of living in these apartments and I am always amazed at God. I visualized myself, and even though I went through situations that removed me from even imagining ever living here, God still brought me here. It's interesting how God works and how He allows our thoughts to dictate our path in this life. I hope you're still tuned in for 2 more instances where I was able to experience the power of visualization. The 4th instance was my second job. I was an intern at a company the summer before my senior year, and I enjoyed the nature of the work and the people that I worked with. Due to circumstances beyond me and the farm, I was unable to get a full-time placement with them at the time. When I started working at my first job, due to so many different reasons, I got frustrated from time to time, and anytime I did, I would think about my internship and imagine myself working there again. I imagined what kind of tasks my fellow interns were performing at the job as full-time employees. Fast forward to about 3 years later, I emailed the HR of my internship company with whom I had maintained some contact with as I had left my previous job. I emailed him during the Thanksgiving timeframe and forgot about it. I never heard back from him until March of the next year. We got together for coffee, and interestingly, there was an opening in a role that fit my level of expertise, and it was within the same group that I had worked with prior during my internship. Fast forward to 2 months later, I was back at this company. It was all surreal, as I had been imagining about it and then it became a reality. Even with this specific instance, I wasn't very intentional about the visualization process, as it only happened from time to time. I fully know that God was at play with this instance too. The last one is one that makes me happy to talk about, just because even though I visualized it, it seemed like a far-fetched dream. I had always had bad skin. I never quite had hormonal acne, but I had blackheads and whiteheads, and my skin was generally not smooth. I had struggled with this condition since I was about 17 years old. 3 years ago, my skin got worse and I had breakouts all over my face for almost a year. I tried so many different remedies and nothing seemed to be working at the time. I would watch skincare routine videos and imagine me being the person that had clear skin. I never knew what having smooth, blemish-free skin looked like or even felt like. Fast forward to a year later, my skin started clearing up and I eventually didn't have blemishes and my skin was super smooth. Now, it hasn't stayed that way as it breaks out from time to time, but I have not had any serious breakouts. Just the occasional spot here and there. It's interesting to remember that I visualized and prayed for great skin, and now I have it. It's clear, it's beautiful, and it has a glow. Our physical attributes are so important to us. They boost our confidence and give us an overall great feeling, and I can never blame anyone that wishes to have a good this or a good that, which leads me to my conclusion of the visualization process. From my personal experiences and understanding, visualization is the process of mapping out what you want in your mind. It's the process of allowing your mind to synthesize what you want and go to work for you. I have learned that when your dreams are in your periphery, all over a sudden, the things that you need to get to your desires are right there for you to put them to good use in order to see the results of the visualization process. I have also learned that there is nothing that kills the visualization process like distractions. If your mind is distracted with other things, even when opportunities are at your doorstep, you will never get to see them because your mind is occupied with so many other things. One has to create a conducive environment for visualization to take place. One has to stay positive and allow their thoughts to be positive also. The next step is to act. Visualization doesn't stop at just imagining a desired outcome. You have to get the work in. Opportunities and possibilities will present themselves, and it is up to you to bring everything to completion. Your mind will work to bring the right people and the right opportunities your way. However, you have to be less distracted to see them and use them to get to work. Fun fact, I only came to realize that this habit that I was putting to practice is called visualization not so long ago. It's finally nice to put a name to an interesting but powerful concept. I hope you found this real life experiences very helpful. I still visualize to this day. The difference between then and now is that I write them down to constantly remind myself about them. I will do a part 2 of this at some point, so please stay tuned. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you found it helpful. Additionally, you can share it with anyone that might benefit from it. Always be kind to others. Bye!